Hello guys, welcome back to Vision NLP Core Python Training Part 3. So today's table of content will be firstly we will revise some points what we have studied in last lecture. And after that we will see looping statement. So in last lecture we have studied about data structures. One is list. Among the data structures there are three type of data structures. One is list, another is tuples, and third is the dictionaries. Okay, so in a list we have seen how to add an element into a list, how to define a list, how to replace an item into from a list. Also we have seen some different operations on list. We have also studied similar operations on tuples and dictionaries. Okay, so let us in the next part we have seen in the second half of last lecture we have seen conditional statements. One is if statement, second is if else statement, a third part was nested if else statement, and the fourth part was if else if and else if statements. Okay, so guys, we have gone through conditional statements, basically if statement. So in conditional statements, the first point was if statement, then the second was if else statement, how if else statement works and how we can program it. Then third point was nested if else statement. That means having multiple if else statements, like if then else then or multiple if statements inside if condition. That means if this condition is true, then again check whether second condition is true or not, like that. So this was basically nested if else statement. Then also the fourth type of if else or conditional statement was if else if and else if statements. Okay, so guys, I hope that you all have gone through this video which I uploaded last on YouTube. Guys, also make sure that your mic is not on. Okay, so it is little bit disturbing for me, so I am not able to focus that much. Okay, so today we are going to see looping statements. First one for loop and the another one while loop. Okay, so let us start. So looping. The first one loop we are going to see will be the for loop. Just a minute, I will make sure that this screen disappears. Yeah, so it's better now. So first looping statement is for loop. So when we can use a for loop is used basically used to iterate on a sequence. Okay, so basically the sequence can be a sequence of numbers, or consider if I have a list and then I wanted to do some operations one by one on that list. So for such a situation we can use a for loop. Okay, so um, there are much more other applications of for loop as well. Like we can deal for loop can be either used for list, tuples, dictionaries. Also we can evaluate dictionaries one by one using this for loop. Or consider if I have a data set and I wanted to apply some function over there, then too I can use a for loop. Okay, then with for loop, we can execute a set of statements. Like consider I have a list of numbers, integer numbers, and I wanted to add them sequentially. Like I wanted to add 10, value 10 to each and every number into that list. So this is a set of statement, and I wanted to do this set of statement iteratively. That means one by one or sequentially. So in such scenarios, we can use a for loop. Okay. So let us start with the example. Like define I would define a list, like this is my list, and which is having elements 1 2 3 4 5 6, and now I will add two more elements like 10 and 12. Okay, now consider I wanted to print each and every element of the above list. So for that I can use a for statement like this, or I would like to tell you how exactly for loop works. Okay, so basically when using a for loop, consider if I'm to use this for loop on this list. So basically what it will take a first value into that list, and then it will operate whatever set of equations or set of commands I wanted to work on that. Okay, so basically we will write a for loop here, like for I in lst print I. Okay, so basically in this simple for loop, what this the variable I will take one by one values that are stored into that list. Okay, so for first iteration the value of I will be 1. For second iteration, when then value of I will be 1, it will print whatever it will execute whatever commands I wanted to execute here in this for loop. Like consider if I wanted to have like j is equal to I plus 10. Okay, and I wanted to have I wanted to print j also. So print j equal to j. And I wanted to know what exactly I have done into this loop. So for first the value of I, sorry, here I would like to keep it I. The value of I will be 1, and it will print that print like I is equal to I equal to 1. Then it will go to this second line. It will do whatever mathematical operation I have done over here, like I is equal to I plus 10, and then it will print j also into this statement. After execution of all these three commands, it will our for loop will increase, or it will move to the second value of the list. Okay, then it will do again the same things. It will the value of I for next iteration, the value of I will be 2. It will execute this print I, that means it will print I equal to 2. Then it will calculate the value of j, and it will print j also. Then on the third iteration, the value of I will get changed to 3, or it will take the value 3 and it will print it will execute all this set of codes. So for how much time this for loop will execute will occur? So basically if whatever number of elements are there into a list, so for that number of times this iteration this for loop will get on looping. Okay, so here I will do this like here I will run this command using shift enter buttons, and here we can see that the value of I was 1 and value of j was 11. So it has the value of I, we can see the variable I has taken all values into that list. Okay, so here we can see I was equal to 1, I equal to 2, I equal to 3, I equal to 4. So up to here like I equal to 12. Okay, so this is how a for loop works. So this is one example of using a for loop onto a list. So what are other functions or regular uses of a for loop, or on which function we can use a for loop, or what is another way of using for loop on the same equation? So I will show you another way of using for statement on list. Okay, so for I in range length of so what before executing this program, I would like to show what exactly a range function does in Python, or in yeah, in Python. Okay, so the values of a range when we execute this range function, like consider I wanted to know what is the range of 15, so it will just give us a output of it is a range from ranging values from 0 to 15. Okay, so when I use for statement on this range function, so my for statement will take, firstly it will take 0 value and it will evaluate whatever it wanted to do. Then it will take 1 and it will evaluate whatever set of code, like here I have done this set of code. It will evaluate that one. Then it will take 2 and it will continue up iterating whole procedure until uh, value of I, or whatever value of I is equal to 15. Okay, and so this is how exactly a range function works. Okay, so when I use this range function in the for loop, here we can see that I wanted to know what is the range of 5. So here we can see that range of 5 is between 0 to 5, and the for loop will take values. If I iterate this range of 5 in for loop, so the for loop will take values from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, basically whatever number written over here, it will take one lesser value than that number. Okay, so basically if range of 5 will have 5 elements, range of 10 will have 10 elements starting from 0. So also we can provide like a range from 1 to just a minute, 1 to 5. So the values will be taken now. The our function, or when we iterate for loop on range 1 to 5, the values taken by variable I will be 1, 2, 3, and 4 only. Okay, so basically we will try to see how working of this range function is and how we can use it in our Python program. So here I have given a variable. Here we see that the output of a range 5 is from 0 to 5, and I would like to print whatever the values are taken by this I variable. So for that I have used a print statement. Okay, so here we can see that the values are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now if I change this range function from some different number like 1 to 5, and I print again whatever values taken by that I variable in this for loop, so the values will range from 1 to 4. Okay, so these are some day-to-day usable applications of a range function. If you want to evaluate some function on a list, then you can use this range length of that list, like here. Now let us see what is application of this range function in onto a list. Okay, so here we have list lst, which is having like the list is having 8 number of elements, and I wanted to print each and every element one by one sequentially. Okay, so this is another way of printing a list. So for this I will use this range function, and the output of length lst will be 8. So output of range 8 will be 0 comma 8. Okay, range 0 to 8, and now my for loop will iterate from 0, 1 to 7. So basically the values of this I will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and whenever we iterate, or whenever we want to extract some quantity from a list, so for that we use indexing of that list, and indexing in entire Python starts from 0. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So this is the way, this is another way of extracting values from a list sequentially. So basically here I would like to print value taken by I also, and whatever the output, or whatever we extract from list. Okay, so here I will say lst output, and this is, sorry, Okay, so here you have to make sure that you don't make any syntax errors. Like whenever you wanted to print something, you have to give that printing in these mm, quotes. Okay, that can be single quote or a double quote. And if you wanted to print a variable or a value of a variable, then you have to use comma after these quotes, and you can place that variable name after that comma. Okay, so here also the values will be written like one by one, and I will run this code. Here we can see that value of variable I was taken. Now for first iteration, value of variable I was 0, and thus the output from LST was that variable 1. Okay, not variable but the value stored at 0th index position. Hello. uh, So here we can see that it have iteratively uh, uh, done the extraction from for loop. Okay, and here we can see that the value of I has ranged from 0 to 7, and it has extracted all the elements that we wanted to extract from a list. Okay, so these are the elements, like these are the elements which we wanted to extract from a list. In simple words, the program would be like if I just wanted to extract these all these things from a list, then the program would look like this for statement. Okay, so this is how we just printed each and every element from a list. Now consider if I wanted to store whatever I extracted from a list, or whatever I have extracted from a list, or a range function. So for that there is one more way of doing such a thing. So this is another way of implementing for loop, and the output of this for loop will be a list format. Okay, so basically here we can see that we have to define that for loop in a square bracket. Okay, so this is square bracket. So if you recall previously also, we have defined the list only in the square brackets. Okay, so whenever we define a list we use a square bracket, so the same way we have used square brackets here. Now I will use this for statement, and I will iterate it from range of 5. That range 5 will give us numbers from 0 to 4. Now and whatever output for each and every iteration this I variable will take, we will store that value using this I. Okay, so this is one way of extracting a list, uh, now list, by iterating it on a iterating for loop on a range function. Okay, so what is another way, or how we can do this differently also? So let us define a mathematical formula like I plus 10. So I would like to add 10 to whatever value of I has returned from 10 from this function. This for I in a range 5. Okay, so now here we can see that the variable 10, or the number 10, has got added to each and every output of this for loop. So this is one way of getting numbers from what is a regular way extracting from for loop. So what way how we can extract from a for loop? We have to just initialize a list. So here I have initialized a list, and now I will use like for a list one, and I in so range of lst one dot append. So the switch I have done in this game. Basically, this function in this shell. Okay, function, this entire function will also return a list. But this variable saved into lst function, lst1 function, we have to print the lst1 variable name so that we can actually stored. Okay, so it has given here we can see. Okay, for this you have to make sure you spend some more time, more time to know how exactly this can better. Okay, for loop works, it will make you. So now we will see the list using for here I have extracted. So I basically in this function when in we didn't save the to ensure that if we want to anywhere so for to use particularly. Okay, that particular list again and again, we have to make sure in future work put into some, we have to make sure some variable name that we store. Okay, so that list basically create one will every word try to iterate each and every one by one that new list, and I will okay, so will get 10 numbers, range of numbers ranging from 0 to 9. We will have one list which is storing 10 numbers from 0 to 9. Okay, so now and we will now if I have same number, one number with another and I wanted to do this thing number the same thing iteratively or sequentially one by one. Okay, basically so basically these that we can use for strategy. These examples are meant, okay, to make sure that you have better understanding, or we have list, and here we have we want to same thing to add same thing whatever we the same did previous way or shortcut or smarter way of using for loop using for the for extract a list. So for this we have what we have done iterated for it for I what was so the of number number in your list of items. The new list was having ranging of I in this particular function will arrange. So basically the value is from 0 1 to up to 9, and what operation we are operating on here. I wanted to add that is add I so here I to or I plus I, and we these whatever the value of this I plus I will be stored in. This is the add list. Okay, output one by one. Okay, so sequentially. So it will show values. Okay, so we can op, we can like different star means mm, we I I want to do um, of each and it will return us the each and square values number we have it of each and every have stored into new list. So here we can see that square value of it will be return and here we can see that so the power 100 power of 3 is okay. So consider I wanted to I have stored marks I think it is marks of a particular student and I wanted to add or I wanted to give a bonus of 10 marks. I use so I will first make is marks. Okay, so it's just initialization. Okay, so just an empty. What I will do, I will list. Now I will iterate this function, iterate for loop on this for value of so on. Bonus 10 marks. So I do each and every I want to all the value new list or new we have done into this marks. So here we can see exactly value of value stored in new marks are greater than that no value in marks. Okay. Way of doing the same thing. So here we can see that I have 3 lines code and one thing marks of this and that I have added marks and I have I want to just 1 minute. So sorry for the 3 lines code using the using for and I bring or all these things in one. So I wanted to do for that we can use the other way of defining a list and the one list and so for each of this mark list value it has because I am 10 marks so it will be in the same so the values will be from the same. So now conditional inside a loop. So I know I have marks of 8 subjects and I want I wanted to see in how many subjects a student has. Consider I am other than 35, then he has not opted, then use such a for loop. So here again the value of I will be sequential. I will be sequentially in from the marks list. So here we will check whether the value of I is greater than 35 or not, strictly greater than 35 or not. If the value is strictly greater than 35, then only print the value of I. Okay, otherwise don't print it. Okay, so basically what this if condition will do, whenever this situation is this condition is true, then only it will enter into this execution into this line and it will execute this line. Otherwise it will just move on to or the for loop will increase take the next value from the marks table. Okay, now marks list.
So here we can see that there are like five different subjects and which are having values greater than 35. Okay, so now like I wanted to know if a student is having marks greater than 60, then that student is good in that subject, and if he is having marks less than 60, then the student is not that good or not good in that particular subject. So for that we can use such a type of conditioning, like if I is greater than 60, then print what student is good, student is not good. um, there is no need of two parentheses. I can delete one. Okay, so this is how we can know that in first subject the student is not good, in second is he is not good, in fourth or fifth he is good, and in last subject he is good. Okay, so again we can define different criteria, define different areas to know whether what are the passing marks of a particular student. Like previously I told you my passing marks would be a 35 or 50, so we can define it. And I have used this if statement onto this for loop. Okay, so here we can see like the student has failed in third, then he has passed fourth, fifth and sixth, seven, or all the remaining classes. Okay, so again different example, like I wanted to print all the numbers which are less than 4, or I wanted to see whether a number is less than 4 in this range statement. If the number is not less than 4, then I will print the number is greater than 4. If a number is less than 4, then I will print I, or the number is less than 4. Okay, so for that we have done this. We can use such a type of coding. Okay, now consider here I have written like I only, but I wanted to write actual number, whatever actual number there is. So for that what we can do is like use modulo d. Okay, because I know each and every value of variable I is going to be an integer, that's why modulo d. And then uh, outside this course we can use this dot format function I. Okay, and if we can do sorry, it didn't took that particular value. So I will just recheck what code will be required, and I will let you know in the um, next next tutorial. Okay, so how we can do this dictionary comparison in a loop. So for that we have one dictionary d. Okay, so we can write it as a dict or dict. When I type dict over here, so the color has got green. That means it is an inbuilt function, and we can't use that name as a variable name. So here we can use dict1 and dict1, or we can keep it as d itself. Now here this is my dictionary. It is having marks of three subjects: physics, maths and stats. So particular student has got 52 marks in physics, 84 marks in maths, and 78 marks in statistics. Okay, and I wanted to write a subject name and marks obtained by in that particular subject. Okay, so for that we can use this if I do this use this command like for sub in D or subject in D. So whenever I use this command like sub in D, the values taken by sub, variable sub or subject, it will be the key values of a dictionary. Okay, so I will just write the long form. So value taken by a subject, variable subject, will be the key values in this dictionary D. Okay. So first key value in dictionary D will be physics. second key value will be maths, and third will be stats. So values of this subject, variable subject, will be the key values. Okay, so now I wanted to extract something from a dictionary. So for that, I have to make sure that I know the key value of keys of that particular dictionary. Okay, and now here I am iterating. Now I am extracting something from that dictionary sequentially. So for that, I don't have to make sure that I know exactly the key values. Okay, so we because we are extracting sequentially, and we are going to extract values up to the end of that dictionary. So for that, we have to make sure that or there is no need to know particular key names of that subject. Okay, so how we are going to tackle this problem, this particular problem? So we know that value taken by this subject is going to be a key. So we can use this variable subject as an extracting variable. Okay, so whenever we give this d into subject, this will extract whatever value that has stored at this particular key location into this dictionary. Okay, so that value will be stored into this marks variable, and now we can use this printing structure. Okay, now here we can see that a subject modulo s, because this particular subject is going to be a string. So for that, we have used modulo s, and then has modulo d my modulo d, because this marks is always going to be a integer. Okay, so basically integers are defined using uh, modulo d, strings are defined using modulo s, and floats are defined using modulo f. Okay, okay, like that. So here we can see this structure a modulo s. This means here we will print the name of this name of that key. Okay, has model D, whatever marks he has obtained, and this is the printing format. Okay, so this is how we can know how many marks he has got. Okay, so basically if I wanted to change um, whatever I wanted to do over here, we have to make sure that we use modulo function, modulo I, but that should be also in. Okay, so here we can see how we can write integers into a string, or we can input in integer into a string. So here we have inputted this whatever integer value into a string. So basically this is a string. Okay, so now we will move on again to our dictionary comparison. Here I have the same dictionary having marks. This is for physics 52, mathematics 84, and stats 78. And now I don't want to extract one value from a list. Okay, but I wanted to use that dictionary.items function. Okay, so the value returned by this dictionary.items will be one-to-one mapping of subject and and subject and its value. Okay, or key and its value. So basically we will see exactly the output of this d dot items function. The output is one-to-one mapping of key and its value, and key, another key and its value. Then whenever we use this type of whenever we have to make sure that the on this type of use this statement is going to give us will be 2, not 1. Okay, so here we can see that the first value is key value, and another value is 52. So we have to make sure that what type of sequencing, then we have to make sure that whenever we get the type of key, write to two variables, we assign two variables automatically. You can see that subject is one variable. Okay, so here we can, and marks is the another variable, and it will output and things. So here we have saved like two steps. The first step or one step that we have that we are going to extract the values. We were extracting values stored at that particular key location from that dictionary. So we have reduced this step using dot items function. Okay, now let's see looping through strings. So how we can use looping through a string? Like consider I have one str1. I define a string. It is having like hello world names. So this is one string, and I wanted to write sequentially one word or one character from the string. So for that also we can use for statement or for loop. Okay, like this for sorry, for I in str1 print I. Okay, so here we can see the variable I has obtained values from this string sequentially. So first value for first iteration, the value of I was H. For second it was E. For third it was L. So this is how we can do actually looping through a string. Okay, so this has also considered this white space from that string, and it has printed it also. Okay, now how we can use a for loop in nested format or nested loops of a for. So consider basically this type of programming is used for extracting prime numbers. Okay, so extracting prime numbers, or consider in deep learning there is like after this epoch, after a particular epoch, or in a particular epoch I wanted to do some iterations. So for that we can make sure that we run a network like this. Okay, so in such a scenarios we can use nested loops. Okay, so here uh, I have defined a for loop or two for loops. In first for loop, the value of I will be from range 0 to 5. So the value of I will range from 0, 1 to up to 4, and then it will print whatever the value it has obtained. Okay, so let us just cut this thing, and I will print over here. Then this for loop will enter into another for loop, and it will see that this for loop is having this j in this for loop is looping from into a range of 0 to 3. Okay, so the values of variable j will be 0, 1 to 0, 1 and 2. Okay, and now if I wanted to print the values sequentially, so for that I will make sure here I write I and then I comma j. Okay, so here we can see the values of I and j. What are different values of I? So for first 5 iteration value, oh no, for first 3 iterations value of I will be the same, because after completion of this for loop, it will break, and it will again the value of I will get increased. Okay, then it will again print all these statements, and after completion of the for loop, then again it will enter in it will break, and the value of I will get increased, and thus we can have like 5 cross 3, that 15 iterations. Okay, so here we can see these are like 15 lines. For better understanding, or for better to read it better way, I will like do this 2 cross 3. So here we can see that there are there are 6 iterations in total. Okay, 2 into 3. So this is how we can use a nested loop. So basically, what is use of structured loops? I told you previously. So deep learning or deep learning architectures, you will understand this concept in depth. Okay. So now we will move on to a while loop, the second type of looping into Python, that is while loop. So when to use a while loop? Like consider if I wanted to check a condition each and every time and iterate some block of statement, and I will make sure that if that particular statement is particular loop or particular condition is not, I will exit that loop. Okay. So in such a scenarios, we can use while loop. Here we can see that while loops keeps on executing a piece of code until a particular condition is true. Okay, so in while loop, on each and every iteration, the while loop will try to know that particular condition is true or not for that particular uh, iteration. Okay, if that condition is true, then only the piece of code which is written inside that while loop will get executed. If that condition is false, then the loop will break. Okay, again, while loop falls under category of indefinite iterations. Like consider for some examples, I have not, no, I am just having a static value of the condition and it is always going to be true. Then in such a scenarios, my while loop will keep on iterating until I make that while loop stop. Okay. So basically it will not stop by its own. It will keep on iterating, but and it will never stop. Okay. So in such a scenarios, or if we have such a scenario to apply, like consider I wanted to see an video recording until my camera is off. So this is one better example. Okay. Like again, I wanted to write some code. I wanted to print something until it is some time at particular time. It is 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. I wanted to write. So for such a situation, so we can use a different type of functionalities and we can write a while loop. So in such a scenarios, we can use a while loop. Okay. So here we can see here is one while loop. I have defined one while loop, and in a while loop we have to make sure that the value of I, or whatever we are going to count, the value of that particular count is increasing. That we have to make sure. If that value is not increasing, then the while loop may increase or may get into a or infinite iterations. Okay, so here this is my basic while loop. I have make sure that the here is one value of I is equal to 1, or I wanted to print like first 5 digits or first 5 integers, then I can use like this type of for loop. So I have to make sure my first value of integer will be 0. Then if that a particular value of I is less than particular number, then only it will enter into these line of codes and it will execute. If this condition is false, this becomes false, then the loop will get stopped. Okay, so here uh, I am printing whatever the value of I is, and then I am increasing the value of I using this I plus equal to 1. This is again this piece of code, that I plus equal to 1 is same as I equal to I plus 1, which we have seen in first lecture. Okay, so this is it, increasing the value of I by 1 each and every time. Then the loop ends. Then the loop iterates again the value. Then again it will print the value of I. It will check what is the value of I, whether the value of I is less than 6 or not. Then it will print the value of I. Then it will again increase the value. This will continue until the value of I is equal to 6. Okay, whenever the value of I is equal to 6, then uh, this condition will become false, and that's why this loop will end. Okay, So this will be the output of this loop. So again, we can initiate this loop from 1, or we can initiate this loop from 2. So this is how while loop exactly works. Okay, so now I will show you like how infinite loop works. Now I will show you how the break statement in a while loop works. Okay, so here we are doing the same piece of code as above. Like my value of I is 1 for first iteration. I will check whether the value of I is less than 6 or not. Then I will print the value of I. Okay, and then I will check in this if else if condition. I will check whether the I value of I is equal to 3. If the value of I is equal to 3, then break. Otherwise, it will keep on iterating. Okay. So for first iteration, the value of I is 1. So it will print I, and then the value of I will get increased using this statement. Okay. So then for next iteration, the value of I will be 2. It will enter into this. It will print 2, and then it will check whether this condition is true or not. So it is not. So it will again increase the value of I. So for third iteration, the value of I will be 3, and it will print 3, and it will check whether the value of I is equal to 3. So this condition is true, and it will it will execute whatever code is inside this if condition. The code is break. So our whole while statement will break. Okay. So we will exit out of this while statement. So here we can see it has printed only the values up to 3. Like now, if I want to check with values up to 5, then 5 or 4, it will print the values up to 4. Okay, so this is one way of using the break statement. So it will just break an while loop if a particular condition is got satisfied. So now I will make sure that this loop is like quite bigger, and I wanted to break it at particular a bigger point. Okay, like the value is okay. So in such a situation, we can see it is iterating. Each and every value is iterating, and it will make sure that the value does not reach, or if the value of I, variable I, will be equal to this number, then only the while loop will exit, or it will break. Otherwise it will continue running until this particular number has the value of I is less than this particular number. Okay, so here this was a little example of how a while loop is an infinite loop. So it took a little bit time for printing each and everything, and here we can see the maximum value of I was having these 5 numbers, 5 zeros up to 1, and here the value, there are also 5 zeros after 1. Okay, so this is how we can use a break statement to break a particular loop. Now let us see how continue command works. Okay, how for the same while loop, we have value of I, initial value of I is 0. Then I am increasing the value at first. Okay, I will make sure that I will do this command after print. Now I have increased the value of I at the last line of this code. When I enter into this while loop, I will make sure I will check this condition whether I is less than or equal to 6. If the value of I is less than 6, then I will enter into this whole loop. Then for first iteration, I will check what is the value. I will check this condition if I is greater than or equal to 3. So for first iteration, the value of I is 0. So it will not enter into this particular code, and it will print I. Okay. And again, the value of I will get increased. Now the value of I is 1. the while loop will check whether the I whether 1 is less than or equal to 6. So this is true, that's why it will enter into another condition, whether it will check I is greater than or equal to 3. So it is not, so that's why it will not enter into this if condition, and it will print I. So it will do iteratively this condition up to the value of I is equal to 3, or that means value of I is equal to 3 greater than. Now when a value of I is equal to 3, then this will it will not evaluate whatever code is following that. Okay, so whenever this is true, whenever a code enters whenever our code enters into this if condition, then the next command is continue, and that's why the our while loop will directly enter into while loop will increase the value of I, and it will enter back. Okay, or it will not iterate for long time, because it will not go to these print statements, and so it will continue or keep on looping. So here we can see uh, this particular set of block is continued. Like whenever a program is running into this Jupyter notebook, here we can see a different sign like star into this block. So this means our some shell is running, or this particular shell is running, so we can't proceed. So whenever we want to stop such a procedure, or we have to make sure that we hit this particular square bracket, or this block, okay, or this square. Now if I hit this square, it will throw an error that keyboard interruption or keyboard interrupt. This means there was an procedure which I have stopped using this particular button. Okay, now why this particular thing happened? This particular thing happened because the value of I was not getting increased, and we were checking that whether I is less than 6 and whether I is equal to 3. Okay, so when value of I is static, that value, whenever value of I is static and it is not getting changed, in such scenarios while loop can enter into a infinite loop. Okay, so basically this was an infinite loop, and I have to make sure that I stop this particular command, because if I don't stop, it will continue or keep on running a long time. Okay, so like if I keep this particular piece of code over here before continue, now sorry, before if statement, then I am facing this indentation problem because my previous indentation was not good. So I have to make sure my indentation is well in format, and I don't have to face this particular problem. Okay, so I will show you what happens when indentation is wrong. Like here we can see that my previous indentation is here, and this indentation of print is outside, so it will throw an error like indentation error. Okay, so whenever this particular error comes or occurs, so you have to make sure that indentation in your programming is well in line. Otherwise otherwise you will not be able to run this code until you make sure that indentation is good. Okay, so for this I made sure that my indentation is good. So here for first iteration the value of I will be 0, for second it will be 1, for third it will enter into this continue statement, but for the next it will the value of I will get changed. Okay, so it will not execute this print command, but it will check that whether value of I is equal to 3, so yes, and which is less than 6, so yes. So it will increase the value of I by 1, so now the value of I will be 4. So this will again enter into this continue statement, so it will not print the value of I. Then again it will check this condition. Now the value of I is 4, so it will enter into this loop, and it will increase the value of I with +1. So now value of I is 5. It will check whether this condition follows. So if this condition follows, it will not execute the lines following that condition. Now the value of I will be 6. For next iteration, the value of I will be 6, and that's why it will not print. It will exit from this while loop. Okay. So now my loop is not an infinite loop, but it is finite because there is no star sign over here. Okay. Now how we can use a pass statement? Okay. So this is like last statement in Python. Now whenever we use this pass statement, this means whatever we wanted to do, or if this particular condition is true, then it will not do anything. Okay. And if this condition is not true, then it will do something, that whatever written over this else condition, it will use that, uh, it will execute that one. But if this particular condition is true, then then our entire loop will do nothing, but it will increase the value of I, I equal to I plus 1. Okay. So this is how the pass statement works. So one more example, like I is equal to 10, and while I is less than 20, print I if I is uh, greater than 10. Okay. No, not like that. Greater than 15. I will again write it what I want. Print I, else pass. Okay. So in this particular line, in this particular while loop, we have to make sure again that we increase value of I each and every time. Okay. So in this particular while loop, what we are doing, if the value of I is greater than 15, then only it will print. If this value of I is less than 15, then it will enter into else and it will do nothing. Okay. So basically it has printed whatever values that are greater than 15. Okay. So when it comes that the value of I is equal to I is equal to 20, then this particular while condition will not get satisfied, that I will not be equal to 20, and that's why it will break. Okay. So this is one thing. Now this particular piece of code is also like doing uh, only if condition. Okay. So if we place else in pass in else statement, that means we don't need that else condition, we can just remove that else condition. Okay. So this is all for today. So these are like these are the looping statements. So basically today we have seen for loop, again then nested for loop, how to use how to get a list from that for loop, then while loop, then how to use break statement in while loop. Again we can use break statement in for loop also. So for that it will be like an tutorial for you, or you have to make you have to do these things. You have to use a break statement in for loop, then continue statement in for loop, and pass statement also in the for loop. Okay. So thank you guys, I'm stopping here.